This was never the plan. 10 races in, 0 podiums, and Lewis Hamilton is already facing the biggest test of his career in red. The dream move is unraveling, the car is unstable, and now Ferrari is gambling it all on a single upgrade, one that could either save their season or break it completely. But here's what you haven't heard, what Ferrari is changing, why it matters right now, and how this moment at the Red Bull Ring could decide whether Hamilton's legacy ends in frustration or fires back to life. Stick with me because this could be the turning point of modern F1. Let's be honest, the SF-25 hasn't exactly lived up to the hype. After an off-season full of promises and the blockbuster signing of Lewis Hamilton, expectations were sky high. But 10 races in, they've got 3 podiums, all from Charles Leclerc, and Hamilton hasn't seen the top 3 once in a main race. But now, finally, something is shifting. Team boss Fred Vasseur has confirmed it. A new wave of upgrades is on the way, starting as soon as the Austrian Grand Prix. Most of the focus, rear suspension, specifically the pullrod setup, that's been plaguing Ferrari since preseason testing. The plan is simple in theory. Get the car into a ride height window that actually works. Because right now, thanks to an issue exposed during Hamilton's infamous disqualification in China, they've been running the car higher than ideal, sacrificing performance to stay legal. That problem, Ferrari believes, could be solved or at least softened with this next update. The team is targeting more stability, better grip, and fewer compromises in setup. But Vasseur's already setting expectations low, warning that even with changes, we're talking about gains measured in hundredths, not tenths. Which begs the question, is this just a tweak? Or is it the first step towards something much bigger? If anyone's been pushing for more from Ferrari, it's Lewis, and not just in press conferences. Behind the scenes, he's been relentless, asking questions, challenging assumptions, pushing engineers out of their comfort zone. He's made it clear, Ferrari's approach can't be, this is how we've always done it, not if they want to win. And that mindset is starting to pay off. Canada may not have delivered a podium, but Hamilton said it was the first weekend this year where things felt right. Fewer changes, a more predictable car, and steady progress. That's not a breakthrough, but it's a baseline. Now the upgrades are finally coming, but Hamilton knows it's going to take more than a new suspension to close the gap to McLaren and Red Bull. We've had the same car for a while, he admitted. It's been small steps, but to fight at the front, we need more, a lot more. He's not wrong. And what's more revealing is where his focus lies. Not just on 2025, but 2026. This isn't just about fixing the SF-25. It's about building a race-winning machine for the new rules, something Hamilton has made crystal clear is his real priority. Ferrari are in a race against time on 2 fronts: salvage what they can from this season, deliver a championship car for next season's seismic reset. That means every upgrade now matters twice. It's not just about results, it's about direction. Does the team actually understand where the performance is hiding? And can they bring it to life before their stars lose faith? Because make no mistake, Hamilton isn't here to make up the numbers. He joined Ferrari for legacy, for records, and for redemption. And these next few races, they'll show us whether that dream is still alive or if the wait for glory in red continues. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and keep it locked right here. Because what happens at the Red Bull Ring might just change everything. When F1 drivers lose their cool, it usually makes for great TV. But when it keeps happening over and over at the same team, with the same tension and the same confused voices over the radio, it stops being drama and starts becoming something worse: dysfunction. Ferrari was supposed to rise this season, new blood, new momentum, and the most successful driver in F1 history joining the fold. But 10 races in, it's not wins we're talking about. It's arguments on the air for the whole world to hear. And now, a former F1 driver is stepping in with a warning that can't be ignored. Ferrari's 2025 campaign was supposed to be the season they broke through. The buzz was undeniable. Lewis Hamilton in red, Charles Leclerc recharged, Fred Vasseur steering the ship. But instead of glory laps, we've been hearing the team fall apart in real time. And it's coming straight from the cockpit. Whether it's Hamilton questioning decisions mid-race, or Leclerc snapping at his race engineer over confusing strategy calls, the tension isn't hidden. It's broadcast, global, unfiltered. And now Christian Danner, former F1 driver turned analyst, has had enough. His words, sharp and blunt. You make a fool of yourself if you keep talking past each other. And that's exactly what's been happening. These aren't fiery championship battles. They're confused exchanges, smug replies, drivers and engineers not even speaking the same language. Take Canada, Leclerc, stuck in traffic, trying to decode the team's plan B, or was it plan C? The radio call quickly devolved into back and forth nonsense, and it played out live on air. Again, Danner's advice, simple: stop pressing the radio button. Say, we'll talk about it later. Because every time that button clicks mid-argument, Ferrari's credibility gets chipped away. Not just in the paddock, but in the eyes of fans, competitors, and even their own drivers. It's easy to point fingers when a team falls behind, but Ferrari's issue right now isn't just performance, it's unity, or rather the lack of it. Fred Vasseur himself admitted after Canada that Charles had a point. When you're stuck in the midfield, it is worth taking a risk, but that doesn't excuse the way it was handled. The core of Danner's critique isn't about ego, it's about leadership. Strategy teams exist for a reason. They have the data, the forecasts, the big picture. Drivers have instinct and feedback, yes, but decisions, especially risky ones, need structure, timing, calm. And right now, Ferrari has none of that on race day. Danner's not saying drivers should be silent robots. Far from it. He's been in the cockpit. He knows the adrenaline, the pressure, the instinct to fight. But there's a line, and Ferrari is crossing it regularly. You need to leave the decision-making to the ones who see the whole picture, he says. And right now, it looks like no one at Ferrari, driver or pit wall, is seeing it clearly. What if everything you're hearing about Ferrari's collapse is only part of the story? The radio outbursts, the rumors, the headlines screaming about chaos at Maranello. But now, Charles Leclerc is stepping forward, and he's not dodging the fire. He's aiming to set the record straight, because what's happening inside Ferrari might not be the disaster the world thinks it is. Or maybe it is, just not for the reasons you've heard. Strap in. Because this isn't just another driver defending his team, it's a reality check from the inside. You can practically feel the weight every time Charles Leclerc steps in front of a mic this season. The expectations for Ferrari in 2025 were massive. After last year's late season charge and the seismic arrival of Lewis Hamilton, this was supposed to be the comeback campaign, but 10 races in, McLaren is flying, Mercedes is grinding, Red Bull is still Max's playground, and Ferrari, clinging to third, just barely. So when whispers started floating around about Vasseur's job security, and even about Leclerc possibly eyeing a shock exit, it didn't take long for the pressure cooker to go nuclear. But Leclerc, he says, hold up. I've never said I wanted to leave. I love this team. I want to win with Ferrari. He admits the results aren't good enough. He knows that. Everyone at Ferrari does. But he's not ready to buy into the idea that the house is on fire. Yes, the SF-25 hasn't lived up to its promise. Yes, they're being outdeveloped. But Leclerc's message is simple. Don't let the noise distort the facts. Apart from McLaren, we're not actually having a shocking season. We're not satisfied, but we're not lost. It's a brutally honest take, and it cuts through the speculation. Ferrari's season isn't the collapse it's being made out to be. It's just not the surge it needed to be. The thing about Ferrari is this: pressure isn't seasonal, it's constant. It's baked into the DNA of the team, and Leclerc knows that better than anyone. Since joining in 2019, he's carried the burden of being the chosen one, the face of the rebuild. And now, with Hamilton in the garage beside him, that pressure hasn't eased, it's doubled. When you drive for Ferrari, second is never good enough. It doesn't matter if the team is underperforming. It doesn't matter if McLaren has found something no one else has. At Ferrari, you're not measured by progress. You're measured by trophies. But Leclerc isn't using that as an excuse. In fact, he says the team is already putting enough pressure on themselves. What's being said outside doesn't faze him anymore. It's just part of wearing red. I've gotten used to the noise over the years. Some weeks the rumors are louder, but they don't affect what we're building. And that's where his confidence kicks in. Despite the chaos, he says there's still a shared vision between him, Hamilton, and Vasseur. A long-term plan to fix this, not with panic, but with persistence. We're not in denial. McLaren is ahead. It's up to us to react. But we're not tearing ourselves apart. In other words, yes, Ferrari is behind, but no, they're not broken.